Hello, welcome to Exposed News Outlet, where we shed a light on the topics that matter most. I'm your host, Andrea. Today we're exploring the massive wildfires in LA now that have spread to 6 separate large fires. Fortunately, a few of them are smaller at the moment. Hopefully they can contain them. It's tragic to watch, devastating, and my heart goes out to everyone. So they've spread to 6 separate fires across the Los Angeles area, are now even spread into the Hollywood Hills area. I know that there was some misinformation before that Beverly Hills was on fire. That's not true. So it's important that we get the facts. Also, there have now been even reported arsonists that are intentionally lighting fires, which is just demonic, Unfortunately, we have a mental health crisis in this country, and it's being exacerbated by people pushing disinformation and foul, petty grievances from an 80-year-old child, and his oligarch besties. So it's just pathetic and gross. And MAGA also plans to dismantle the NOAA, the National Weather Service, which has been a crucial instrument in dealing with a lot of these climate change, apocalyptic weather patterns and crises that we've been enduring these past few years all across this country and even in Hawaii. They basically want to get rid of it because they claim that the National Weather Service is creating hysteria by reporting the facts.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as NOAA, is a federal agency that provides daily weather forecasts, severe storm warnings, and climate change research, among other things, through its 6 main offices, which include the National Weather Service. NOAA shares its findings for free with other weather services and government agencies. A viral post on Facebook claims Project 2025 contains a plan to get rid of NOAA. But is that true? Let's verify using these sources. Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's plan to transform the government in favor of conservative social policies and ideals, is outlined in this 922-page book called Mandate for Leadership: The Conservative Promise. Verify went through the document, and yes, it does include a proposal to dismantle NOAA. The chapter about the Department of Commerce, authored by Thomas F. Gilman, says NOAA is too focused on climate change, work that he describes as the fatal conceit of planning for the unplannable. While he believes some of NOAA's work is useful, Gilman maintains that its current organization corrupts its useful functions and recommends that it be broken up and downsized. In Project 2025, Gilman also suggests that the National Weather Service should start charging private companies like AccuWeather to use its data. But environment experts like Alice C. Hill, Senior Fellow for Energy and the Environment at the Council on Foreign Relations, say NOAA's research is critical for giving local decision makers better tools to respond to climate change. With your Verify, I'm Josh Sidorowitz.
So they want to leave us oblivious completely, which is just crazy. And also has tones from that, like where they were trying to get rid of the numbers from the COVID because the numbers were bad kind of thing playing out. I mean, this is what happens when we get people that are not worthy of, trusting. They couldn't tell the truth to save their life, literally. So unfortunately, people's lives are at risk and the facts do matter. But they seek to remove the scientists and the experts, which, we need right now, while they push fear about what they call a hoax, simply because their billionaire oligarch donors don't want to comply with safety regulations or climate policies, as it costs them more money to do. However, these storms and crises that keep happening are more costly and will continue to ravage, even if they buy up all the land and rebuild on it, as a lot of these greedy oligarchs, seek to do anyway, by exploiting these victims. And I mean, these same patterns are going to repeat themselves. And I don't know, I just can't. But as we navigate these complexities of our world, it's essential to stay informed and engaged. By subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications and sharing our content, you're supporting our mission to provide thought-provoking insights and inspire positive change. Thank you for being part of our community. Also, for those who are able to support an independent journalist on advocating for civil rights in a world dominated by corporate media and billionaires, it's becoming increasingly difficult to get unbiased facts. That's why I'm dedicated to creating an independent news media outlet that prioritizes stories that matter most. As an independent journalist, I'm committed to advocating for civil rights, liberties, and democracy. My goal is to provide high-quality content that sheds light on the most pressing issues of our time. How your donation will help. Your contribution will go directly towards equipment and software, upgrading my equipment and software to ensure high-quality content creation and editing, by producing in-depth news articles, documentaries, and other content that exposes the truth and promotes social justice. Also with merchandise and partnerships, creating merchandise where partial proceeds will go to institutions like the ACLU and NAACP, promoting social justice and equality. Why your support matters. By supporting my GoFundMe campaign, you'll be contributing to a crucial mission, promoting independent journalism, helping to create a media outlet that's free from corporate influence and dedicated to telling the stories that matter, advocating for civil rights, supporting a platform that amplifies the voices of marginalized communities and advocates for social justice. Every donation counts, and I'm grateful for your consideration. Let's work together to create a more just and equitable society through independent journalism advocacy. I will link a link as well for anyone that is in the position to donate for the wildfire in LA. I know that Jamie Lee Curtis, her family, has actually recently just pledged $1 million personally from the Jamie Lee Curtis family, and others are going to be doing the same. So I will try to link the resources as well. Now, without further ado, let's get to the video. I wanted to start tonight on Project 2025, as it has a lot of influence over the current administration, since he's literally been placing them onto his cabinet nominations, even though he denied, having anything to do with them. But that's another story. Project 2025 is a comprehensive plan initiated by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank outlining a radical extremist agenda that aims to reverse over 60 years of civil rights and dismantle essential institutions. This plan is closely tied to the MAGA movement. If you'd call it a movement, it's more of an agenda and propaganda, brainwashing, indoctrination, and a toxic ideology of white nationalist beliefs, and has been linked to Donald Trump. Although, when asked, he's always tried to distance himself, despite appearing on stage at their own conventions and other charitable events for the Heritage Group. And I do also have another video that goes more in depth into Project 2025. I'll link that as well. The plan proposes drastic changes to various aspects of American society, including abortion and healthcare. Project 2025 seeks to restrict access to abortion, eliminate funding for Planned Parenthood, and reduce healthcare services for low-income individuals and families. Immigration, the plan aims to reinstate Trump-era immigration policies, including the Remain in Mexico program, and reduce the number of refugees and visas issued. Tax policy, Project 2025 proposes a two-rate tax system, reducing corporate tax rates and eliminating deductions and credits. Social welfare programs, the plan seeks to reduce or eliminate programs like Medicaid, food stamps, and temporary assistance for needy families, as well as completely bankrupting Social Security and other programs. Education. Project 2025 aims to abolish the Department of Education at a time when our education has gone from, when I was in high school and younger, it was rated 6th in the world, We've fallen now to 27th out of 37 countries rated. I mean, we should be adding to the Department of Education and paying teachers better, not doing away with. Eliminate programs like Head Start and restrict teaching of critical race theory, aka anything other than what's been whitewashed in white nationalist ideology and gender ideology. Environmental protection. The plan proposes dismantling agencies like the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, which is also, the National Weather Service, and reducing funding for clean energy initiatives. Basically rolling us back so that we're going to have more extreme weather. Let me play this clip.
A disoriented Donald Trump was caught lying for no reason about just about everything, including most recently the California wildfires. Donald Trump and Melania were in Washington, D.C. yesterday, at least in part, to visit the casket of former President Jimmy Carter lying in state. And Trump took some questions at some point, I guess after, maybe before, and just lying about stuff for no real reason, which is really going to be, I believe, the theme of this forthcoming presidency. Trump with 35,000 lies in his political career, which is just, it's sort of like when someone says, oh, the universe is 4 billion years old and we struggle to really understand, or is it 13 billion? Now, is it Earth is 4 billion, universe 13? Now, I don't remember the numbers. It doesn't matter because as humans, it's difficult to conceive of these numbers. The number of lies Trump has told is a difficult number to conceive of. And asked about the fires in California, Donald Trump starts to talk about Beverly Hills is just burning down. The fires are not affecting Beverly Hills. Why is Trump saying this? We just don't know. It's sort of like, why does Trump call it the 1917 flu? Or why did Donald Trump change the path of a hurricane on a map with a Sharpie? Unforced lies, but he just keeps telling them.
Tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just...
Yeah. The big homes in Beverly Hills are completely fine for now. Beverly Hills has not been decimated. And it's almost like PTSD from the COVID era. When you have a crisis, you need a leader with a steady hand, with accurate information, because without agreeing on the facts, you can't possibly solve the problem. And this is just a totally fabricated lie. If you hear Beverly Hills, oh my goodness, I have family in Beverly, they're fine. There's nothing happening in Beverly Hills right now. There are no fires that have reached Beverly Hills to this point, unaffected by the fires. Trump continuing to talk about the fires, and I guess he's worried about the insurance companies is his big concern.
This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water, and yet they have. The water comes from, you know where? Up north. And it comes down at levels, they give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water.
Barrels of gallons.
They have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop, it's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him. When he was governor, we worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it. But what happened there, I don't think there's anything that I've ever seen quite like it. And the insurance companies are going to have a big problem.
The insurance companies, people are homeless, people have lost pets, and it's who is going to think of the insurance companies? They are going to just have a terrible problem, as they, I am sure, will do everything they can to deny every penny of claims that they can get away with. Trump, as is often the case recently, somehow it all comes back to water, big, powerful water, and Trump just obsessed with water.
In California, Mr. President, during the pandemic, you often said that you didn't believe that you should bail out blue states that you believe are being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish.
Tiny little fish.
Which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that.
As is usually the case, significant confusion sort of wrapped around tiny little kernels of truth when it comes to Trump talking about anything that's happened in the past or potentially will happen in the future. So just unforced lie after lie. And then finally, Trump asked about President Joe Biden's pardon of Liz Cheney, specifically to protect her from Trump, interestingly enough. And Trump just says, it was ridiculous.
Liz Cheney, Biden pardoned Liz Cheney. What's your message for President Biden? He said he...
Oh, I thought it was ridiculous that he did that, but we have more important things to talk about. Liz Cheney was... she lost in the Republican Party, as you know, in her state by the biggest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress. She lost by like 42 points. Nobody's ever lost like that. So I don't care about Liz Cheney. I care about these people.
There you go. Doesn't care about her, but of course, he is the reason why Biden felt he needed to levy a pardon. So if you get your information from Donald Trump, which many people do because they're part of the cult, and eventually even non-Trump supporters would expect I can get just basic facts from Trump, you would have come away from this series of questions and answers believing that if you have family in Beverly Hills, if you have friends in Beverly Hills, it's been decimated. 90% of it has just been burned down. Of course, that's not the case. And it is really a sort of hearkening back to Trump's COVID press conferences where he talked about everything open by Easter of 2020, mind you.
It's impossible for me to express the level of appreciation and cooperation we received from the White House in this administration. So on behalf of all of us, Mr. President, thank you for being here, but not just being here today. Thank you for being here since the minute of this incident.
That was California Governor Gavin Newsom with President Biden today. That was happening as wildfires continue to blaze through Southern California. But as the governor receives support from the outgoing president, the incoming president is throwing barbs. Today, President-elect Trump attacked Governor Newsom. Writing on Truth Social, Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snowmelt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California. He is the blame for this. Governor Newsom's office responded in a statement, "There is no such document as the water restoration declaration. That is pure fiction." And earlier tonight, just a few moments ago, Governor Newsom himself responded.
People are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden, and he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
Well, and also, is it too much to ask that he not lie about this at this particular moment? You said that, this kind of rhetoric phrase the ties. I guess one of the questions we have to ask is, how does it help? Is he contributing to the solution? Is his rhetoric going to make it more likely that Los Angeles survives, that lives are saved, that houses are protected, that schools are able to be shielded from this? I mean, what does he accomplish by his rhetoric except to scratch the id of his grievances? We've had reports from his first term that he considered not giving federal disaster aid to certain states because he didn't like the politics of their governor. This is the real danger. Will he, because we know how vindictive he is, And, at this moment of maximum, tragedy and danger, if he cannot restrain himself, what can we expect when he gets back into office? Because there's going to be a massive rebuilding. There will be more disasters like this. How will Donald Trump respond? Will he try to take it out on his political opponents? Will he see everything through the lens of his own ego and his resentments? I mean, this becomes more than just simply, mean tweets. This raises questions about will he be the president of all Americans and a president who wants to solve problems and protect the American people as opposed to scoring these kinds of petty points?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where it tips from just rhetoric and nastiness and, Donald Trump's bad behavior into a real issue in terms of Americans getting the help they need, right? You mentioned what happened in his first term. I mean, he was actually going to withhold aid from California after the 2018 wildfires until his aides showed him that there were parts of Orange County, California, that supported Trump. And because of that, he relented. I mean, and that happened in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. He delayed aid to Washington State, which was run by a Democrat, for 4 months. He told the governors of Connecticut and Maryland that they should ask nicely for their disaster aid. They were not Trump acolytes. He delayed disaster aid to the state of Georgia by 55 days because he was mad at Governor Kemp for certifying the election in favor of Joe Biden. He delayed aid to Utah after the Republican governor certified Biden's electoral victory. This is what he did in the first term. And I wonder, what you think of the road ahead for a man as he comes in, probably even more emboldened in the second term to punish his quote unquote enemies, and what that means in a moment like this where he's looking at the same image as we are. And this is his response.
Alex, that list that you just read is breathtaking, and we ought to remember that. But I guess one of the differences with Trump 2.0 is that there were apparently some grown-ups or responsible individuals in the room during his first term who told him, Mr. President, you shouldn't do this, or figured out a way to make him relent. Will they be there in this next term? See, this is what I think is the scary part, because the people he's surrounded himself with now are the ones who I think are going to reinforce many of his worst instincts, are not going to tell him that, no, you cannot take out your resentment against Governor Newsom, who you call these ridiculous nicknames. You can't take out that political resentment on the American citizens, on the American people who've been impacted by this. Who will be the people who will say that? Is Stephen Miller going to be telling him things like that? Will the people, the MAGA acolytes that he stacked his administration with, will they be the ones who appeal to the better angel of his nature? So the fact is, we know what his instincts are. We saw it in his first term. He was dissuaded from the worst, most damaging things. It's not clear that will happen again this next time. And again, to your point, he is seeing these images. And if these images do not sober you, if these images don't make you cry out and thinking, these are our fellow Americans, these are fellow human beings, this is a catastrophe, this is a tragedy. If you don't have that instinct, then I think it's a tremendously troubling commentary on the man who's about to become president of the United States.
Yeah. I mean, we know from Governor Newsom how essential White House support is in critical moments like these. We look towards January 20th to see what's next. Charlie Sykes.
Trump's response to national disasters has been criticized for being divisive and lacking empathy. He has used these natural disasters as events to air his grievances, play politics, and blame others. For example, he has blamed California's wildfires on poor forest management, despite evidence suggesting climate change is a significant factor, even telling them that they needed to clean the floors and, wanting to send rakes. Let me play this clip.
Relentless wildfires in Southern California causing widespread destruction, as you know. When the sun came up, we could finally see the scope of the devastation. The Palisades fire alone already destroying more than 1,000 structures, making it the most destructive fire in LA history. There are now 6 fires burning in the region.
This is just the beginning. A new fire erupted overnight in Hollywood Hills near the popular Runyon Canyon, forcing more people to evacuate. Crews attacked it from the air and the ground to protect the densely populated area.
And take a look at these before and after images from above East Altadena. Just total devastation. The historic winds fueling the flames overnight, and now they're expected to pick back up.
And Michael Ginger is standing by with much more on those dangerous winds. We have team coverage on the fires, and our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, starts us off from Pacific Palisades. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. You mentioned this is the most destructive wildfire in LA history, and we've been here this is our third day here, and everywhere we go we see new images of this hellscape. And I just want to give you a sense of where we are. Sunset Boulevard, the heart of downtown, is that way. These are homes here. On the other side over there was a 3-story condo building. Come with me. Want to show you another big condo building, also 3 stories. Everything here destroyed, and you may be able to see the spot fires inside there. And as firefighters have been racing across this town trying to put those out, overnight, that new fire just in those Hollywood Hills, just a few blocks from the famous Hollywood Boulevard, exploding in size.
This morning, already strapped firefighters forced to jump to yet another fire in the heart of Los Angeles.
I've never seen Los Angeles like this in my life.
The Sunset Fire, fueled by this week's historic wind event in Los Angeles, igniting in the hills just north of Hollywood Boulevard. Firefighters blasting water into this apartment, trying to protect it. A fleet of helicopters swirling over the fire, dropping water. Residents facing gridlock as they try to evacuate down the narrow streets of the Hollywood Hills. Firefighters getting right up to the flames, but only a trickle of water coming from that hose. Drone footage capturing this fire spreading through the hills.
Now, together, these fires are stretching the capacity of emergency services to their maximum limits.
Our station, KABC, capturing the inferno quadrupling in size in just minutes.
We are in the heart of Hollywood, guys. This thing is spotting and growing by the second. I can't emphasize it enough. There is no way to dramatize this.
And another fire springing up in nearby Studio City.
There goes the front of the facade, the front of the house, a complete collapse now.
Crews arriving on scene quickly to battle that blaze, managing to knock it down. This as the Palisades fire grows to over 17,000 acres, becoming the most destructive wildfire in LA history. The fire still consuming homes this morning. At least 1,000 structures burned in the Palisades and in Malibu, the number expected to grow significantly.
We've been watching firefighters work on this house for hours now. It looks like they're going to lose this battle, and I want you to see something. Normally, you would not have been able to see the Pacific Ocean from here. There would be a line of very impressive-looking seaside homes. They're now all gone.
Everything from churches to mobile homes engulfed in flames and now gone. Roughly 30 miles to the east, the deadly 10,000-acre Eaton fire killing at least 5 people. Entire densely packed neighborhoods erupting in flames. You can see each fire burning building to building in these satellite images. Residents there making split decisions about whether to leave everything behind or attempt to save what they can.
I know I'm not supposed to be here, but this is my parents' home.
Lynn Guzman trying to save her 90-year-old parents' home after they lost fire insurance.
These insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
And in Los Angeles, those fire hydrants running dry just when they were needed most.
There have been a lot of complaints about inadequate water, taps running dry, hydrants running dry.
So we do know that our DWP, they did anticipate that there was going to be some supply issues. They did refill some of those water tanks. And it's with this amount of fire, though, this amount of fire activity and how erratic and widespread this was, it was unpredicted that we would have these kind of problems.
AccuWeather estimating upwards of $57 billion in damage. This is ABC News learning the fire department's budget was slashed $17.5 million for this year.
This is an absolutely unprecedented event. Any fire department, even our size, is stressed thin, which is why we call in our mutual aid partners, our additional resources.
And back in Pacific Palisades, we found Rhule in the middle of the night, hoping to save this church.
So if you can stop this, then it won't continue down the hill. So by helping the church, you also help the business. So everybody's helping each other. Do you think you'll be able to save this church?
No, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And so many of the residents here have been telling me how angry they are that the hydrants ran dry, that there seemed to be a shortage of resources. But the firefighters we have seen here are absolutely shattered with exhaustion. They are waiting for those reinforcements to come in. But more bad news, and I'm sure Ginger's about to talk about this. Red flag warnings in effect today through tomorrow. More of those big gusts that could trigger some of these fires, igniting them yet again. Michael.
Yeah, that's the last thing that is needed right now, Matt. We want to thank you so much for being there for us.
The Pentagon is sending military planes to assist with the LA wildfires. 10 Navy helicopters equipped with water delivery buckets are being deployed to help with firefighting efforts. Additionally, 4 military modular airborne firefighting system units can be used if needed. These units can turn large C-130 Hercules airplanes into firefighting aircraft without major modifications. The Department of Defense is working closely with the California National Guard, the state firefighters, to combat the raging wildfires. However, the current smoke and wind conditions are hindering more significant military support. It's worth noting that the California National Guard has deployed assets, including 10 rotary wing aircrafts, 2 C-130 airplanes, and 10 hand crews to help firefighters. The Nevada National Guard is also preparing to assist with 2 more modular airborne firefighting systems. Sadly, people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump are taking advantage of the chaos and suffering many are going through. This is the worst disaster this city has ever dealt with, and this is just sad. And it's not the time to play politics. It's certainly never the time to spread disinformation and propaganda, turning X, aka Twitter, into a propaganda blame machine, which is what it's been ever since Elon took over ownership. Now even celebrities are joining in and trying to blame Gavin Newsom, which this is in no way his fault, nor is it the fault of any one person. We are all to blame for this. And until American people, and when I say American people, I should really be saying the MAGA cult, because they're the climate deniers, as their cult leader has chosen greed and profits over the planet and well-being of others, of the masses. They feel that they're more important than the collective. And until these people pushing blame wake up and realize this, it's sadly going to get worse. Project 2025 would only exacerbate the crisis. Someone on Blue Sky Social made a valid point. Being the victim of a wildfire in the past, he said, if you're able to video your house and belongings, it will help if you deal with issues with the insurance later on. For those whom have insurance, as many of them have been dropped unexpectedly, sadly, at a time when it's needed the most. How shameful. A suspect has also been arrested in connection with the Kenneth Fire in Los Angeles, which has burned 960 acres and threatened homes in the Calabasas and West Hills area. The arrest occurred on Ibarra Road. Sorry if I butchered that. Near the fire's origin, after local residents spotted the suspect attempting to ignite a blaze and detained him until police arrived. Although officials haven't confirmed whether the suspect was directly connected to the Kenneth Fire, the arrest raises concerns about the possibility of arson. The suspect's identity hasn't been released, and an investigation into the cause of the fire is ongoing. In another incident, a 31-year-old man named Victor Marias was arrested in October 2024 for setting multiple fires in downtown Los Angeles. Marias is linked to several fires, including a major blaze on Kohler Street that caused $7 million in damages. He was charged with multiple felony counts of arson and faced a probation violation. The Los Angeles Fire Department's arson counterterrorism section is actively investigating these incidents, and it's possible that more information will come into the light as the investigations continue. Watch this clip.
We're at 302 Pico, and people are lighting fires now. You can see they lit a fire. These guys, not all the people there, but some of those guys lit that fire, and they're actually, the trees caught fire, and then the palms are catching fire. So civilians are now lighting fires down in the so-called, flats around Santa Monica, Venice. So be safe out there. Fire department's been dispatched. We don't have enough water to put this thing out. are supposedly on the way.
New fire breaking out late this evening in the Hollywood Hills. Who would have ever thought this? Los Angeles is on fire.
The scene horrific. More than 1,000 homes and other buildings are destroyed. Firefighters there doing everything they can, but there simply aren't enough of them to fight the horror that has exploded.
Reinforcements coming from all around the region and beyond. Here's the latest at this hour. There are a total now of 6 wildfires burning tonight.
So far, the fires are to blame for at least 5 deaths, all of them just north of Pasadena.
And more than 130,000 Angelenos now under mandatory evacuation orders. And right now, people are rushing to escape the Hollywood Hills.
This as all Los Angeles public schools will be closed tomorrow. We begin our coverage with Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger.
And Sandra, we've been watching this latest fire develop just over the last couple of hours, and it's happening as we speak. This fire started small, just a speck, and in the span of less than an hour, it grew exponentially, the wind shoving it right toward Hollywood Boulevard. We could show you a map of this area, what's under the gun here. Hollywood Bowl, the famous Hollywood Bowl in the east. There are lots of houses in this area, and of course, it's approaching the world-renowned Hollywood Boulevard. The entire area right now under a mandatory evacuation as yet another part of the City of Angels erupts into danger. After dark tonight, the misery multiplied.
It's a dire situation.
Our LA sister station's chopper reporter narrated in real time as a brand new fire exploded down the Hollywood Hills, making a beeline for the iconic heart of the entertainment industry.
And this is obviously an explosive fire that has just, blown up in Runyon Canyon, and it's in a very dangerous place.
Hollywood Boulevard and the massive residential neighborhood around it suddenly in the bullseye.
Some more of the streets, Lucas. We need to get people out of this neighborhood.
Over the past 24 hours, the infamous Santa Ana winds have taken a blowtorch to Southern California.
It is like driving through hell itself down here. Literally through hell. This is madness down here.
Hundreds, if not thousands of homes reduced to ash. Memories melted away in minutes.
We thought we were going to have the opportunity to come back to a home. And this is what we come back to.
The historic firestorm comes amid a drought, and those 100-mile-per-hour winds are capable of sending blizzards of burning embers more than a mile. Tens of thousands of people have fled for their lives, abandoning their cars when they could go no further. Bulldozers shoving them out of the way so fire trucks could get by. In many cases, the demand for water has been so tremendous, firefighters simply ran out. But they say it's barely made a difference.
But I'll be clear, we could have had much more water. With those wind gusts, we were not stopping that fire last night. Those erratic wind gusts were throwing embers for multiple miles ahead of the fire. And that's really what caused the rapid spread of this fire.
No, LA County and all 29 fire departments in our county are not prepared for this type of widespread disaster.
Officials say they have resources for, at most, 2 simultaneous wildfires. Tonight's inferno in the Hollywood Hills was the 6th. President Biden, already in LA when the firestorm broke out, has signed a disaster declaration, deploying federal resources to try to help.
We're prepared to do anything and everything as long as it takes to contain these fires and help reconstruct and make sure that we get back to normal.
Whatever help the feds can provide, it'll certainly come too late, given the scope of destruction already across much of LA County. You heard earlier from our partners at our sister station, KABC in Los Angeles. Watch now as their Air 7 reporter Chris Christie reacts in real time as that fire in Hollywood spread before his eyes.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, guys. Jovan, I've got to interrupt you. Go ahead. Widen out, Lucas. You've got police on Runyon Canyon Road. Go ahead. Tilt over to the left. And now a new spot fire. A new spot fire starting at the end of Vista Street right there. A small little speck right now. Let's see what it does. I do not know what kind of fuel is around that fire, but we can only assume the worst.
So basically what we're seeing in real time right now is how a small fire can become a big fire. This is how all of these fires that we've been dealing with that are now thousands of acres in size and thousands of structures have burned. This is how they grow. Driven by the winds, pushed along. The front line of the fire moves along with the wind.
It's just amazing to see the impact the wind has on this. But Lee, this is actually when the wind already had started to die down.
I mean, from ember to inferno in moments, and that's the thing, it's coming down. That just allows them to attack it, like you showed from above, and the morale's got to be higher with the firefighters. But that doesn't mean it doesn't spread, and that's what we're dealing with now. So when you look at the Hollywood forecast, and I have the wind forecast for you, you'll see that, there are some gusts that are coming through the canyons, 15, 25 miles an hour. That's all it's going to take for some spread tonight. The winds are a lot lower as we go into tomorrow morning. So definitely they're going to jump on that opportunity to fight that fire. So yes, we're out of extreme danger in terms of spread, but we're still in critical fire danger tomorrow. Some gusts 35 to 55. The higher gusts are really in the higher terrain in the mountains. But you see that futurecast gust. Now they drop off overnight, but we still have some gusts that'll be ramping up during the day tomorrow. So they have a window here tonight and tomorrow morning where they're really going to try to fight these fires. By the way, after we see these winds diminish, there are additional Santa Ana wind events on Sunday and Tuesday. They're more traditional events, but I mean, even a lower level event, they can't handle anything like that right now.
These incidents highlight the ongoing concerns about arson in Los Angeles, particularly during the wildfire. The devastating Los Angeles fires have destroyed several buildings and institutions, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Here are some of the notable ones. Sunset Boulevard is one of many areas that was completely destroyed, sadly, which Sunset Boulevard it was a very beautiful stretch of road. The Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, this historic temple was completely destroyed. But fortunately, the Torah scrolls were rescued and are in a secure location. Theater Palisades, Pearson Playhouse, this performing arts theater was also completely destroyed just days before opening a new production. The Getty Villa Museum, although the museum itself was not damaged, the grounds were affected by the fire, and the museum will remain closed until early next week. Kaufman Estate in Malibu, Villa de Leon, the historic Italian rival estate was built in 1926, was reportedly ablaze and suffered significant damage. 3 residential buildings in Silmar, a fierce fire fueled by ammunition destroyed 3 buildings in a residential neighborhood, resulting in 2 fatalities, 1 injured. Let me play a clip here. Additionally, several museums and galleries have closed temporarily due to the fires, including Los Angeles County Museum of Art, LACMA, the Hammer Museum, the Broad Museum, Lyson Gallery, Sean Kelly Gallery, the Box, Hauser and Worth Bookstore, Control Gallery. Also, there was a very touching clip I wanted to play in addition, but where Jamie Lee Curtis does touch on a very important topic and subjects in this video, and very important message. And I will be making another video as well that goes into a further look at the rest of the interview. For time's sake, I'm not going to include the whole clip now, but watch for that video as well, where I'll go further in depth into the full message. Check it out on MSNBC, Stephanie Rhule. It's very powerful. And let me play this clip.
It's a catastrophic fire. I live in the Pacific Palisades. The Pacific Palisades no longer exists in the way that any of us who've lived there, the thousands and thousands and thousands of people who send their children to school there, who live in a beautiful spot. It's near the ocean. It's above the Pacific Ocean. It's called the Pacific Palisades, the Palisades being the sort of high mountains overlooking the ocean. The village, it's a village. The school that burnt to the ground is called the Village School. You know, Los Angeles is a bunch of villages. Beverly Hills was a village. Brentwood is a village. It's small clusters of communities of people who've come together and create a life together. And so my home is safe. I live in a canyon directly next to this catastrophe. The canyon I live in today is intact and has been spared. But the community of the Pacific Palisades has been decimated. And it is I have adrenaline in me, so I'm actually a little bit in shock still. I'm trying to sort of suit up and show up today. I'm doing some other work. I'm promoting a movie. I arrived last night. I got on the plane. I was halfway here, and the texts started. So by the time I landed, I knew that there was a serious situation in California, in the Pacific Palisades.
You posted on social media, please post facts.
Well, because what happens, you know, here we are in a society of, it's the information, technical, digital society, and yet all you get are these harrowing images of hillsides on fire and a lot of innuendo, a lot of rumors, a lot of this is burning, that is burning. And what I searched for in my hotel room, I woke up at 3:30. My daughter, who had just arrived in Los Angeles, called me. We spoke at 3:30 my time. It was whatever time that is. I didn't do well in school. I think, are we 3 hours ahead here?
We are.
So that was midnight for her. You know, and she had just arrived, and we spoke, and I've been up since 3:30, and what I couldn't find were facts. What is burning? Where are the areas? You know, they do a perimeter map, which I understand. So I was asking people to give me facts.
Okay, but it's the timing of you even posting that is interesting because, of course, yesterday, Mark Zuckerberg, you know, who runs Facebook, Instagram, Meta, announced they're actually going to get rid of their fact-checking business, their efforts. How concerned are you, right, that we're in this time when we're already struggling to find facts? Now those guardrails on the things that we love, right? You love social media. I love social media.
Well, I don't love it.
You use it. You use it. Sorry.
No.
You use it.
I use it solely for a purpose, and that is to sell something. That is the sole purpose. It is not a portal to me. My secret for anybody listening is you don't read any comments, ever. The whole idea is it's a portal. This is what I think and want to say. And you're welcome to join me or not. I am concerned that the guardrails are not just fact-checking on social media. The guardrails are we've lost language.
Yeah.
Words do not mean what they mean. We've lost language. Language is this means this. And when we lose it in a political landscape, where if you tell me, oh, this is a fantastic orange table. Wow, I love it. Where did you get this orange table? If enough people believe that that's an orange table, we're in really big trouble,
Okay, but
Stephanie.
then isn't the answer...
So that's the fact.
Yes,
the fact is this is blue.
But then we can't give up on telling the truth. We can't give up.
Well, you can never give up on it.
Okay, but right now some people are saying, you know what, there's alternative facts, and I'm in this camp or I'm in this camp.
By the way, that's fine, and they're entitled to that. The concern I have is that the most important thing that we have to protect is language, what things mean, and say, you know, in recovery we have a phrase, say what you mean and mean what you say, just don't say it mean.
Oh.
And that's a way to be able to tell the truth and mean it, but not go after somebody. I'm not going to go after anybody for their beliefs here. It's not my business.
No one should.
No one should. But this is not orange. This is actually blue.
Okay, and calling someone out for telling a lie isn't going after them. It's honoring the truth.
I agree with you. And that's where the political climate is right now, because ultimately if you said this is orange and I say it's blue, the alternative fact that you just mentioned is that someone else is going to say, well, it's orange. I can't disabuse them of that. All I can do is do everything in my power to say what I mean and mean what I say, try not to say it mean, and protect the fact that this is a blue table. And that may be worth dying for people. Because if we're at the point where this can be any color table, then we're in really, really big trouble.
let's talk about you and your extraordinary career where you have been a sex symbol, a scream queen, a dramatic. You have been everything and had this extraordinarily beautiful and long career that an outsider would say is filled with reinvention. Or you might say, no, I've just given so many elements of me. Tell us your secrets as we go into a year where many people feel lost or exhausted. You're not, lady.
Well, by the way, everybody's a little lost because life is hard for everybody. I don't care what side of the political aisle you are on. Life is happening to all those people. Those people have sick children. Those people have dying parents. Those people have financial insecurity. Everybody does. That's a given. That's a across the board sort of equal playing field. And what was the other thing?
But
you said lost, and then what was the other thing?
Lost and exhausted.
Okay,
you're
exhausted.
Not.
Guess what? Everybody's exhausted. You know
You're
why?
not. You go to bed at 8 o'clock every night.
You know why everybody's exhausted? Because everybody works hard.
Yes.
And again, I'm talking about both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter. Everybody works hard. I don't work hard. I don't work hard compared to anybody in the real world who is working hard. People who have 3 jobs to take care of their families. I mean, come on. I have an internal drive that is pretty good, and I have a passion for life, and I also recognize I'm going to be dead soon. Like, I'm 66. Excuse my French, effing talk, and not the Chinese thing that's either going to be bought by so-and-so or not, or whoever is going to buy it. But really time, Father Time. Time also doesn't care what side of the political spectrum you are on. Time will get you.
But it's not getting you, right?
It
what
is
was it,
getting
a year
me.
and a half ago when you
Trust
won
me.
an Oscar, right? For Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Was that like a turn? First of all, Deirdre, one of my favorite characters of all time. But was
I know,
that?
and you dressed up
I
like
sure
her.
did. I sure.
That
you know
really, you know what? That really got me. That you dressed up like Deirdre.
Well, I love her. I love
know.
her.
Deirdre Deirdre.
I love her. Did that role? Did winning that? Was that a game changer for you?
Of course.
Why? I mean, you've had so much
You know
success.
what?
but
Here's
that-
why. Did you watch the Golden Globes?
I sure did.
By the way, Nikki Glaser. Come on!
Killed it.
That was wicked. And sorry, that's the wrong.
And never mean-spirited, right? She can win you, but she doesn't turn the knife.
She was just fantastic.
Yes.
God, that was thrilling to watch. And by the way, thrilling to watch. In the world of the world, there's a lot going on in the universe. It was an award show. But
I think you brought it up to talk about Demi Moore.
I did. So I've known Demi for a long time. And we are friends. We live in an area that's in grave danger today. We have been social friends. We're in a group of friends, of women that support each other. You know, we're good. I'll tell you something. When I published my first book for children, it was called When I Was Little, a 4-year-old's memoir of her youth, which was my first book I ever wrote. The first book signing I did was at a little bookstore in Los Angeles called Every Picture Tells a Story. No, excuse me, wrong. Children's Book World. Thank you, Heidi Schaefer of 42 years. I would have remembered that.
I was there.
I know you were. I was at a book signing, my first book signing at Children's Book World on Pico in Los Angeles. And I was sitting, and there were about 50 people on the floor in front of me. And I looked up, and there was Demi with, I think, Rumor, her eldest. And I remember thinking, I didn't know her then. We were casual acquaintances.
She came as a mom.
She came as a mom, and she came as a friend, because here was a new arena for me. I'd written a book for children. And so I've never forgotten that she was there, ever. Like, that made a huge impression on me, that she would take the time out, come all the way to the Pico Boulevard to sit on the floor at this book signing.
And I'm guessing her speech the other night made a huge impression.
Of course. So when she got up and said, I've been in this business 45 years, and I've never won anything for my craft. And all of a sudden you want to go, okay, wait a minute. A Few Good Men, Ghost. I mean, you start naming striptease, you start naming the movies. And then I remembered the moment at the Golden Globes with Michelle Yeoh. Do you remember what happened?
I sure do.
With the hype women?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what the true story of that was, I was sitting next to Michelle Yeoh at the Golden Globes.
Because you're the ultimate hype sister.
Okay,
You are.
except, listen to me. This is what happened. I was sitting next to Michelle Yeoh. They said the next award is going to be actress in a movie. I had already lost, by the way. I had been nominated. I had lost. I was sitting next to Michelle. I also got COVID at that Golden Globes, by the way. The only time I had COVID was from the Golden Globes when we had full test protection. But whatever. I won't name names. You know who you are, because you also got it. Anyway, or you brought it, if you know what I mean. Whatever, it's fine. Bygones, let bygones. Anyway, we were sitting there, and they said the next award is going to be this. And Michelle had this look on her face, and I reached over and I held her hand, and I said, Michelle, what's going on? She goes, I'm so nervous. I said, why, sweetheart? She said, I've never been nominated for anything. And I looked at her, she was 60. She's been in this business for so long, doing
super
such
talent.
Amazing work. And I realized in that second that this woman had never been nominated for anything. And then she won. And that moment was primarily because she had just shared this really vulnerable truth about her life. And that's what Demi did. Demi got up and told the world, I've been doing this for 45 years, and I've been told I am not to have this. And you're telling me it's okay. You know, my own experience as a woman is now telling me I can have this.
But is the industry changing? Because now women, and I hate saying women of a certain age, aren't just getting mom characters that wouldn't even be up for those kind of awards.
No.
You're getting the meaty, complicated. Today, you're nominated for a SAG award, right? Because these are complicated, extraordinary roles, and you're extraordinary
women
actresses.
with Pamela.
With
our
Pamela Anderson. With
who's
our
also
Pamela.
over a certain age. Yes, there has been a history of discarding women after a certain age. That is just show business. That is just the world. The world is a male-dominated world, and women have been discarded since the beginning of time. That is changing. It hasn't changed 100%. It is changing, and artists like Nicole Kidman. I mean, I was in Palm Springs last weekend talking about Nicole Kidman at the Palm Springs Film Festival because I gave her the International Star of the Year. And I wrote the speech, and the speech is, how do you become the biggest star in the world? There's no bigger star in the world, television, media, film, than Nicole Kidman. How do you do it? And at the center of her is love. And it's her mother, love from her mother, her family, love from her husband who adores her, her children, love of her own passion for what she does. Love is the center. You know, our friend Marianne Williamson tried to run for president on the
basis of it.
Basis of that love has to lead us.
Do you think that love gets the wrong brand, right? People think of love as this sort of mamsy-pamsy, weak, silly, when the truth is there's nothing more powerful than love.
What's the movie that Richard Curtis made that Hugh Grant is in that Love Actually? Thank you.
One of my all-time
And how does that movie end? It's at an airport, isn't it?
Correct.
At an airport, at an arrival.
Do you know, I dream of having an airport arrival like that, but in 2025, nobody picks you up at the airport.
That's all you have to do, by the way. You have to just look at an airport when people are arriving. And by the way, my heart just literally just went to that awful airplane crash, I believe in Singapore, 2 weeks ago. And all of those people waiting for those people, and the pictures of those people sitting in airports waiting. So humanity is not mamsy-pamsy. Love is not left or right. Love is universal. Love is the only thing that will get us through, is love. And by the way, all kinds of love. Love of humans, love of country, love of animals, love of ideas, love of words will get us through.
So, you know, that scene is so funny because people don't think about picking someone up at an airport as being especially poignant, but it is, because you would only pick someone up at an airport that you love.
Right.
Right?
Love.
It seems like it's not a deal. No, 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 no. You pick someone up that you love.
And love is the secret sauce of life. And so so we're talking about women. Well, women are, I'm going to say, the majority source of love. I think it's more of a woman's job. Our job is to be a source of love.
Then is that the secret to your career? Because just a moment ago you were talking about hype women. We talked about, hold on, we talked about the last showgirl a minute ago, and you said, you know, Pamela was nominated. So were you.
I understand,
Do
but I'm
you
not
think
gonna
the secret of your career is you don't just love your craft, you love the people you work with? You have been more excited about this film and her role in this film than you are your own.
Of course.
Why?
I just am.
It's just a woman you are.
I just, honestly, I'm not trying to, you know, when I heard Pamela Anderson was going to star in The Last Showgirl without reading it, and they said, you've been offered this movie, it's called The Last Showgirl.
Which on its cover face seemed like a small movie.
It is a small movie, by the way. It was made
shot
for
in 18 days.
$1.8 million, and it was shot in 18 days. I was there 3 total. I was there 4. One day I traveled and then shot 3 days and then left to continue on my work life. When I heard she was going to be in the movie, before I read it, I said, and they said it's to play.
And you weren't friends yet.
I'd never met her. I'd never seen her. And they said it's to play her best friend, this old showgirl, stripper, now cocktail waitress, best friend. I said, oh yeah, I'll do it. Of course I'll do it. Because without knowing her, I know her. And it's like, without, by the way, without knowing you, I know you.
That's how I feel.
And I
about
remember
you.
the first time, I don't stay up late enough to watch you. And I stayed up late enough to see you on something. I remember you were sitting, and what I loved was you kind of went like this. You kind of, the way you sat in this chair, it was like you weren't like this. You were like, all right. And you were kind of posing a question, and I remember saying to my husband, who is that? And I knew you, and I thought, well, of course you're doing that work. Of course that's how you do the work you do. You're not, good evening.
No.
I'm a wonk. Sorry, I'm not making fun of somebody who does that. I'm just telling you, I knew who you are before I ever knew who you were until I met you. And then it was like, oh, and I've never met you.
Yeah, we've never met face to face. We did have a phone call because I am your husband's #1 fan. And when my husband and I are at odds, he puts on a Christopher Guest movie
I understand.
to reconnect.
I understand.
We are connected.
But I knew who you were. I just knew it. And I think if that's my secret sauce, that's my secret sauce, is that I do have an understanding. I've been here a long time. I know bullshit when I see it, and my bullshit meter is very active. And so I don't allow that very much. And I also, the other secret is, and this has taken me a minute, it's okay if people don't like me.
It's not your business.
It's none of my business. And for a minute, this industry will put you in a position where you're worried that people will like you. And you know what? It's okay. I say what I mean what I say. I try not to say it mean. And I'm here for a purpose, and my purpose is not to make you happy. My purpose is to tell the truth. And that is my goal now.
You tell serious truths, and you always have, right? Beyond being an actress, I think it's fair to say you've been an advocate for years and years for underdogs in all different verticals.
Because
Why?
life is hard. My husband was in The Princess Bride. And
one of the greatest movies ever.
A great movie, William Goldman's screenplay. And there's a moment where the Princess Bride is with the man in black, and they're on the top of the cliff, and he's telling her that her fiance, her love, Wesley, right, has been killed, that the man in black saw him die. And she says, "You mock my pain." And he says to her, "Life is pain, Highness, and anyone who says differently is selling something." That is, if on my tombstone, that's what it will be. Life is pain, Highness, and anyone who says differently is selling something. Life is hard. Just life is hard, period, end of story for everybody. And I think people know that I know that. And that's why I can actually have a conversation with somebody on the complete opposite political spectrum from me, on an entire different planet politically than I am. I will find common ground with that person.
But then are you worried right now? Because as this, I'm going to say advocate for an underdog, you've been an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community
and I
for
will
years,
continue
right?
to be.
You're
of course.
a trans mother.
I am now a trans mother. I was not until my daughter transitioned. That is a new, that's just a new, in recovery we say more will be revealed. More was revealed to me.
Are you worried in this political climate?
Of course.
So where do you put that? What do you do with it?
I'm doing it right here, right now, which is trying to appeal to people to listen to each other and to not stand and live behind these sort of rigid, calcified ideas. I really believe in this phrase, old ideas, new ideas. Like that something can be an old idea and you can have a new idea. You can actually change. We have minds.
Yes.
We have minds. They are a muscle. They change. And I believe that is my purpose.
But we have to choose to use those minds,
well,
right?
That's...
I talk about it all the time, the corpus callosum, right? It is this group of nerves that connects the right side and the left side. But something has happened that people aren't using our minds. We're just getting triggered, and staying in our corners. How do we get people to use those complete minds and see one another as a complete person?
That's a TV show that you and I would probably have to do. To thine own self be true is really where it begins. We can't pontificate, we can't populate ideas until we really know them ourselves. And then work small, concentric circles, man. First, your life, your community, the people you work with, your crew, your family, your populace around you. Then the next level of the concentric circle. And it moves out of that. I do think be the change you want to be is the way to change it. You're not going to change it by saying something on television. We're going to change it by behaviors, by actions, by intentionality about things. And civilization has endured a lot. I was at a conference once, and someone talked about Hiroshima. Now, every year on the anniversary of that bombing, I send to a large group of people the New Yorker. If you haven't read it, it's 44 pages. It was the New Yorker that was written, an article that was written 2 weeks, a month later. And it gives you a real understanding of what that meant. You must look back and say, this happened, this is how this happened, but look at us today. We have survived that. Civilization has survived that horrific moment in human history. I am very close friends with many Jews, many Jewish people. We survived the Holocaust. Many, millions and millions and millions did not. But then people did, and that they have had children, and now those stories get to be told. That's, you know, talk history. We're going to survive. We just have to talk to each other, try to lead with kindness and love, and be open-minded enough to not close the door on someone because they have a specific ideology.
All right, then, you talked history. There's one other H word, and there's someone you honored this week on social media, and it's President Jimmy Carter.
Okay.
Who's lying in state right now.
Okay.
And what you wrote was, thank you, Mr. President, for teaching us humanity.
Yeah. And then I think I may have texted, let's have a Jimmy Carter 2025. Like, just, you know, when someone dies, anytime in your life, what do you say to people? Are your parents alive?
Yes.
Okay. Mine are both dead. I've had many friends die. And what you end up saying, because the words are stupid in that moment, you talk about feelings, is take the examples that those people spent their life doing and absorb them into your own life. Just take that one thing that they did and absorb it. And Jimmy Carter, we should all be absorbing everything. You're talking about the fundamentals of religion, of Christianity, is helping people.
Humility and goodness and decency.
Decency and helping and sweat equity. I am Stephanie Rhule. My favorite word, my people will tell you, sweat equity.
2 words. Wise ass, my favorite 2 words.
Do I punch her live on television, or do we wait until you've stopped rolling?
Wise ass, those are my 2 favorite words.
Sweat equity.
Yes.
Sweat equity means you have a friend, like I'm about to go home tomorrow morning for some sweat equity.
Damn right.
The sweat equity is to help my friends who've lost their homes, go to their houses, help them together. One thing I'm going to tell you, which you don't know and most people don't know in the world, I'm not saying in the world like it's a big thing. I'm saying it's going to be this year a big thing. I was sitting in my house in the mountains when I read an article about the Paradise Fire in Paradise, California. It was a book that was written by Lizzie Johnson, and it was her account of embedding with the people of Paradise, California, because on, I believe, November 8th, 2018, a fire ripped through the town of Paradise, California.
There was a bus driver.
Well, and it decimated the town.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it killed over 90 people. And there was a story in that book of a bus driver, down on his luck guy, driving a bus so he could go to night school to become a teacher. And he volunteered to go pick up 22 stranded children because their parents couldn't get there. And then a teacher named Mary, and his name is Kevin McKay, and a teacher named Mary Ludwig, who'd been a teacher at that school for a long time, got on that school bus with them. And for 8 hours, nobody knew where they were. And I heard that story, Stephanie Rhule. And I thought, wow, there's the movie. That's the movie of how do you tell a catastrophic fire story. You tell it through that. But I didn't do anything. And then the next day, my sweet girl, my sweet girl, the next day, I was driving down the road and I turned on NPR which I am wont to do. And Scott Simon might have been on Weekend Edition. And Scott Simon came on and said, my first guest today is Lizzie Johnson, who's written the book, Paradise, the Story of an American Wildfire. And she came on and he said, Lizzie, I loved your book, but the story that really got me was the story of Kevin McKay. And Stephanie Rhule, I pulled my car over on the side of the road. I picked up the very phone with the bandolier case that you saw, and I dialed Jason Blum, who runs Blumhouse, who made all the Halloween movies with me. And I called him and I said, Jason, I'm sending you a link to an NPR story and a Washington Post story, which is where I first read the story the day before. And I said, I want to buy the book and I want to make it a movie because I think this is going to be the most important thing you and I ever do.
Oh my gosh.
And he read it and said yes. And that movie is coming out this year for Apple, starring Matthew McConaughey and America Ferrara, called The Lost Bus. But this is a story. I have gotten to know Kevin McKay and Mary and the people of Paradise, California. And so the sweat equity that I'm talking to you about, I'm just going to go and replicate it in my own home. Now I'm going to go home and do it versus going up to Paradise to meet with them, meet with the people. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be telling stories about human beings coming together, banding together to survive a very harsh world. And it's a harsh world wherever you go. And so how bizarre that a movie that's going to say produced by Jamie Lee Curtis is a movie about a town that was decimated by, at the time, the worst wildfire in California history.
And you're going home to it?
And I'm going home to it. I'm going home. The images that I shared with you, I have footage of from Paradise, California in 2018. And it just feels like this is my purpose now, is to simply find stories to tell, try to find people to tell them with, and to connect to people like yourself who we didn't know each other, but I swear to you, I went, who is that? Literally in that tone of voice. I probably said that to my husband because he's up way late at night and he of course knew you and loved you, but I was like, I don't know why I was up. Maybe it was during something.
I don't know, but
you were wearing an orange sweater. I remember what you were wearing. And it was just your way of sitting. It was the way you sat in the chair. Just this, you went kind of like this.
Can I just tell you one thing?
It was fantastic.
Can I tell you one thing?
Yes.
When I came to work here at NBC, right, I don't have any background in TV. The number one complaint I kept getting from talent management was the way that I sit. That was the number one complaint I got. Like, why are you saying, like, shouldn't you be sitting up? And it's that's why you just make my day.
But it was the thing, man. It was the thing that made me go, oh, who is that? Like, she's amazing. You're an amazing, amazing woman. You tell harsh, hard truths. You challenge people. I don't know how you do your job. I could not do your job. It's a challenging time, and yet I hope everybody watching this can then tell their friends, let's just be more like Jimmy Carter. Let's be more willing to listen. Let's be more willing to do sweat equity to help each other, and stay away from the calcified, rigidity of American politics today. And did you watch the Golden Globes?
Yes.
Okay, so when Carla Sofia took the mic at the end for the movie Emilia Perez,
dressed in Buddhist colors,
and said, I am wearing the Buddhist colors. And I think she said about lightness and darkness, that the light will always win.
Yes.
That threw me to the ground. I was sobbing so hard.
But we have to choose that. Because darkness wants to take the light, and all it takes is one light.
I know, but she also said, and this is a trans woman, a movie about, but she also said, you can beat us up, you can jealous, but you can't take away who we are. And so, you know, I just say, let's just be light. And by the way, bring it. Because guess what? I'm not going to read your comments anyway. It's okay. You can say whatever you want. I don't care. I don't read it. I just don't read it.
I want you to know I love you. I am so grateful.
Happy to know you.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Mwah.
The recent tragic fires in California have resulted in devastating losses, including the destruction of landmarks and historical buildings. If you'd like to support the victims, here are some resources on how to do so. The American Red Cross, providing shelter, food, and emotional support to those affected. Specifically, I would look into the California American Red Cross Division. California Fire Foundation, offering financial assistance to firefighters and their families. Direct Relief, providing medical aid and resources to those affected. You can donate to these organizations or volunteer your time to support relief efforts. Also, in conclusion, Project 2025 represents a radical and extremist agenda that threatens the progress made in civil rights, social welfare, and environmental protection. It's essential to stay informed and critical of such initiatives promoting empathy, understanding, and inclusive leadership. As we part ways, take a moment to reflect on the impact that you can have when you stay informed and engaged. Your support means the world to us, and we're grateful for your loyalty. Stay curious, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video. Also, I'll link the GoFundMe in the description box below. Thanks again, and stay safe out there. And as always, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others.